My name is Suzanne Avington and I'm the Deputy Associate Director for Allied Health Professionals here at Nottinghamshire Healthcare Trust. So my career journey, I'm a qualified physiotherapist. I graduated in 1995 and I trained at Nottingham University. I think my route into physiotherapy was fairly typical, really, a fairly usual route for many undergraduates. Much to my daughter's thinly veiled frustration, I probably knew what I wanted to do when I was younger. My mum had a lot of physiotherapy, so I was quite heavily influenced by that. So I felt that was the right career for me. I chose the right A-levels and was able to apply. That wasn't to say there weren't some bumps along the way. So I'll never forget a rather ill-informed careers advisor asking, should you not try and do a few more sciences and work a bit harder, and you could do medicine, and a superintendent physiotherapist who was really quite fearsome and quite brusque, and told me that I was far too quiet and gentle to be a physiotherapist. But yes, nevertheless, that's where I went. I went and trained at Nottingham, and my first role was at Nottingham City Hospital. I stayed around and did my junior rotations at Nottingham City Hospital.
Can you remember making that transition from education to practice?
Yeah, that was a real challenge. It was busy and brilliantly busy. I think when I trained, your placements as a physiotherapist were very focused on physiotherapy, that you almost didn't get to join in as much with the team. It was very, these are the skills and the professional behaviours that you've got to show on placement and you're being assessed. But your rotations were your real opportunity to grow and discover sort of how you conduct and act as a qualified practitioner. And I think, again, in my day, I don't think preceptorship as a construct was especially well developed, really, certainly for physiotherapists.
Yeah.
But I think we got by in terms of you really learnt what the benefits of supervision, properly conducted supervision was, the role models that you found in not only your supervisors, but your more senior, junior staff who you surrounded yourself with. So yeah, I felt I was really fortunate. It was quite a busy hospital. I met a lot of new colleagues, new friends, and learned an incredible amount. But very much learning more as being part of a multidisciplinary team. And because my love was always rehabilitation, whether that be from rheumatology and hydrotherapy to older persons rehab and stroke, I was always surrounded by a multidisciplinary team. And that's where I learned not only what our value as physiotherapists brought to the patient's sort of journey, we achieved even more when we did that together. With team effort.
Can I ask you how you came to be in your current role? Because I think that's quite exciting.
Yeah. So
yeah,
I chopped and changed a little bit. I went out of the NHS for a little while after I did my masters. I went and worked at Nottingham University. I went and lectured on the physiotherapy undergraduate programme, and that was probably my first biggest leap of faith. Felt well out of my own. Felt very strange that my previous lecturers and teachers were now my colleagues. But yeah, learnt an incredible amount. Learnt a lot about supporting students and young people, which really helped my practice as a clinical educator, certainly. Supporting younger people, different routes into education, and maybe struggling with aspects of education, academic life. But then I kind of did miss the clinical team still. So I went out into the community. And back then, again, it wasn't popular destination, but you had to be a senior one before you went out into the community. But they obviously thought I had skills to bring, so I went into a new developing service looking at transitional rehabilitation, which was a kind of prerequisite to intermediate care as we know it. So did some service improvement as a physiotherapist in those teams. Got involved with sort of integration development work, got quite heavily involved with our PCT at the time. I sat on their clinical reference group. So yes, kind of any opportunity that I got to do something a bit extra and a bit different to expand my role, that's what I tended to get involved in. And then I think because of always supporting therapists as a team leader, although it was largely physios and OTs, I just got very interested in advocating for our wider AHP as part of an MDT. So I then took another big leap of faith and took a secondment to deputise for Catherine Pope while she was our chair of CSP. So yes, that kind of took me into a very different world, more strategic, more wide thinking. Again, lots of challenges and lots of opportunities to learn about who I am and what I bring and how I deliver. But again, yeah, fabulous learning opportunities, which is really what has helped me think about my strengths and what I can do and what I can bring, and has encouraged me to go for other roles, really.
Oh, lovely. That's really interesting. Can I just one little last thing? I'm just really interested. Like, if you could go back in time, or say you were that kind of newly qualified, about to start practice again, is there anything you would tell yourself, or is there anything that you wish you'd known then that you know now?
Yeah, I think it's really interesting when I chat to juniors or even students now, and I think when I was in the midst of it, I had no great plan. I never envisaged that I would be where I am now, particularly. I think it is just about grasping opportunities as they arise, but maybe not become too preoccupied with the paths and the route. We have long careers ahead of us, and you don't have to get so focused on it's got to be a certain way. I think what we're learning now, there's so many routes both into our professions, side steps out of, doing different things. Our skill sets are so broad. Don't worry too much, don't get hung up on it, because possibilities are endless, and they are absolutely there for our taking.
Oh, lovely. Thank you so much. That was brilliant.
Okay, you're very welcome.